According to General Hospital teasers, Caesar Faison may be the mysterious investor in Professor Henry Hank Dalton's lab research, despite the fact that he died a long time ago. The Monday, August 4th show provided an intriguing clue. Therefore it's time to discuss it. Fans have been buzzing with conjecture since Jen Sidwell met with Dalton about his slow progress on the lab research project, as well as how disappointed their male mystery funder was. Having said that, on August 4th, Britt informed Pascal at the Five Poppies resort that the employer wanted her to be happy. She also spoke gently to the unknown boss on the phone later in the episode. In addition, Liesl Albrecht and Anna Devane discussed their pasts, and Faison's name appeared in that episode. Fans are aware that former characters are rarely revived unless they are tied to an ongoing storyline. So might Faison be the mystery boss everyone has been talking about? Fans are aware that Britt acquired Huntington's condition from her father, Faison. The two had a difficult relationship, similar to Albrecht's, but there was love. If Faison is still alive, he may have committed his life to saving his daughter by investing in research. He always had a lot of money, so he'd have plenty to help keep something like this continuing. This could explain Britt's current situation, as well as the shots she's been receiving before bed. This could also explain her participation in the research, and why she appeared to have a personal connection with everyone she spoke with on the phone. Furthermore, Albrecht expressed guilt for putting Faison before her daughter during her meeting with Anna, so bringing him back into the picture would cause tremendous drama for her. Plus, Anna would be on edge, given her previous obsession with her. Finally, there would be conflict between Britt and Liesl as the mother desperately attempts to resume where they left off, which may be difficult now that Faison has injected himself into Britt's life. She may also wonder why Britt stayed away for so long, and hate Faison for keeping her daughter from her. Is Faison alive? Is he the mystery boss? Leave a comment below. Watch your favorite ABC soap daily and return to this site frequently for the latest General Hospital spoilers, news, and updates. The General Hospital recap for Wednesday, August 6th, reveals that Willow Tate's secret disclosure surprised Isaiah Gannon, while Jason Morgan derailed Liesl Albrecht's effort to have another excursion with Rocco Falconeri. At the Metro Court pool, Harrison Chase attempted to persuade Michael Corinthos to show sympathy for Willow and cease punishing her among the other children. However, Michael intimated that Willow, in addition to Drew Kane, had her own behavioral issues and stayed firm. Ada Justine Turner injured her ankle while playing softball, so Sonny Corinthos took her to GH for an examination. Willow appeared with paperwork and met Sonny's courteous request for another nurse. Willow told Isaiah that Sonny had been nicer to her than the rest of Michael's family. Willow also praised Chase and acknowledged to Isaiah that they had been married before she cheated on him with Michael. Willow later revealed something about Drew blackmailing Portia Robinson before recognizing it wasn't her secret to share. When Willow inquired if they could keep it between them, Isaiah provided reassurance. Back with Sonny, he told Ada Turner about his amazement at the judge granting Michael full custody, albeit he agreed with the decision. Ada Turner developed a bond with Sonny and insisted on taking her home once her ankle was wrapped. Tracy Quartermaine informed Maxie Jones, Lucy Coe, and Brooke Lynn Quartermaine that plans had changed. Tracy requested that Deception not turn over the information against Sonny, which resulted in some fighting. Tracy, Brooke Lynn, and Lucy outweighed Maxie when it came time to vote, ensuring that the shady investment scenario remained buried. Tracy did, however, privately express worries to Brooke Lynn regarding Maxie's ability to remain silent. Lulu Spencer then asked Carly Spencer for aid transporting Liesl out of town. Carly wanted Lulu to show Albrecht was a threat to Rocco first. Lulu soon burst into tears since Rocco regarded Britt Westbourne as another mother figure. Lulu didn't want to waste any more time with Rocco, so Carly didn't think she should stop him from asking Britt and Liesl questions. Rocco and Danny Morgan talked to Jason about their recent softball success. Liesl also showed up with the foam finger she'd been waving since she arrived to witness the victory. When Albrecht offered to treat everyone to ice cream, Jason sent Danny and Rocco to pack away the equipment. This provided Jason with an opportunity to warn Liesl not to interfere with Rocco's relationship with his parents. Back with Rocco, he discussed Lulu with Danny, and Dante Falconeri advised him to stay away from Liesl. However, Danny reminded out that this was Rocco's life, and he should learn more about Albrecht and Britt if that was his preference. After Danny and Rocco returned, Liesl excused herself for forgetting her lactose tablets and recommended they go for ice cream another time. After Albrecht left, Rocco approached Jason about Britt again and expressed his desire to have known her, to which Jason agreed. Laura Collins questioned Dante about Marco Rios kidnapping off the record in her office, but she didn't want Sonny to go down for it because Rocco had been suffering with enough lately. Dante admitted that things would be different if Britt were around, but he was not as opposed to Rocco checking into her as Lulu was. This was a problem with no easy solution, but Laura gave Dante a pep talk. According to General Hospital previews, Rocco will continue to hang on to Liesl in anticipation of some stunning Brit survival news, so stay tuned. Caesar Faison's existence would disturb the entire structure of Port Charles, especially if he has discovered a new means to immerse himself in the town's darkest dealings. For years, Faison represented fear, manipulation, and long-term plans that harmed practically every important family. His alleged death elicited a collective sigh of relief from those who knew the chaos he was capable of, but what if that comfort was premature? Given his talent for deception, body doubles, masks, and elaborate conspiracies that span countries, it is not unreasonable to suspect that he staged his death. If Faison is still alive, the ramifications go far beyond emotional shock. It's possible that every new threat, every twist in the continuing lab study involving John Jagger Cates and Agent John Dalton, stems from a far older, darker objective. Faison was never one to act without a long-term plan in mind. He was an expert at staying one step ahead, persuading others to perform his dirty work, and acting through proxies and puppets. That is why whispers about the mysterious benefactor, who is sponsoring Dalton's underground study, have begun to create concerns. The money trail is buried, but the objective is clear. Risky experiments, secret trials, and a control fixation that resembles Faison's previous obsessions. Not only is there secrecy, but there is also brutality, a lack of moral limitations and precision in every step. These are classic indicators of Faison's technique. While Dalton appears to be in command, there's every reason to suspect he reports to someone far more powerful and terrifying than the Bureau is ready to accept. The labs themselves are shrouded in secrecy and outfitted with equipment that no regular budget could afford. Faison has already studied genetic manipulation, neurological hacking, and psychological control alongside Helena Cassadine and others. If this is his resurrection, he has taken things to a whole new level. Rumors say that the study may even involve attempts to modify memory or implant artificial allegiance in individuals. And if this is the case, the moral and legal transgressions are massive. Even more chilling is the question: what is the ultimate goal? Faison was always motivated by obsession, for Anna Devane, power, and outwitting the world. But this time it may be about completely rewriting human behavior, training faithful foot troops, or even discovering a means to maintain his power long after death. If Faison faked his death, he's had years to stay under the radar. He's had time to recruit loyalists, maybe brainwash fresh spies, and amass a fortune in the shadows. It's hardly impossible that he's hidden in plain sight behind a new identity, or even a reconstructed face. Dalton's scheme has taken root discreetly, and such stillness reveals the presence of a great thinker. Faison would like to avoid past mistakes, so no dramatic entrances or overt threats this time. Just control from the top down using science and technology would have the WSB scrambling to adapt. Anna, Robert, and others who have previously battled Faison are already seeing indicators that they cannot ignore. Patterns are recurring. The recent attempts on specific lives, the reappearance of persons assumed to be dead, and the unexpected shift in criminal activities all lead to the same puppet master. Even the tone of recent encrypted conversations obtained by the FBI is consistent with Faison's previous linguistic style. It's as if he wants to be seen, or worse, he wants his adversaries to understand too late who they're truly battling. There is no resolution with a man like Faison. His reappearance would not only endanger individuals, it would also undermine the power balance in Port Charles, and possibly the entire world. Jason Morgan, who has been investigating what Dalton is up to, may be closer to the truth than everyone understands. He's not simply looking into a rogue agent. He's looking into something that has the potential to change the way power and influence are exercised. Jason had previously witnessed Faison's darkest qualities, including mind control and psychological warfare. The scars from those battles linger, especially given what was done to Drew in the past utilizing memory mapping. If Dalton's lab continues where it left off, they'll be marching right into Faison's turf. And if Faison is still alive, he is most likely keeping track of Jason's every move. Anna's instincts kicked in. She recognizes that something is wrong with the Bureau's handling of the situation. The fact that they have shut her out, denied her access to specific files, and are ignoring her demands for information all raises red flags. It's overly organized and purposeful. Then there's Valentine Cassadine, who may or may not have his own theories concerning Faison's reappearance. Valentine has his own history with Faison and has long dreaded that some of his darkest memories will emerge. He may be keeping facts to himself, either out of remorse or self-preservation, and waiting to watch how the pieces fall before taking a stance. Then there's Britt Westbourne, whose name is suddenly circulating again. Though she is assumed dead, her relationship with her father could be significant. Faison had always viewed Britt as both a pawn and an inheritance. She was privy to genetic secrets, sensitive files, and experimental notes that could be worth millions of dollars to those carrying on his legacy. And if Britt is still alive or her medical skill is being misused, Faison's reappearance might be both emotional and strategic. Someone is using her study, potentially including her DNA samples, to link the dots back to Faison's initial plans. The name Cassadine figures prominently in the plot. If Faison is still alive, he will almost certainly reconcile with the remnants of the Cassadine Empire. Helena may be gone, but her legacy lives on through twisted medical research, offshore accounts, and devoted followers. And while Nicholas is working to change the family legacy, someone like Faison would not hesitate to exploit the Cassadine name and network to conceal his activities. Whether through long-dead experiments or missing blueprints, the barriers between Faison's aspirations and Cassadine brutality are blurring once more. Jocelyn and Trina have also come dangerously near to the edge. Their brief probe of Dalton's digital records revealed encrypted files referencing Project Omega, a phrase that had previously emerged in WSB stories related to Faison's secret files. The girls don't grasp what they've discovered, but others do. There have already been threats, shadows following them at night, and unusual faults in their phones indicating surveillance. If Project Omega is real and connected to Faison, Port Charles is on the edge of a new nightmare, one that combines science fiction with psychological trauma. Curtis Ashford, who is striving to rebuild his life after suffering catastrophic personal losses, has also entered this maelstrom. His PI instincts went in when he heard whispers about WSB funds being moved to unknown accounts. He's been secretly tracking them, and what he's discovered is disturbing. The funds are not only going to a lab, they are being sent to medical facilities, abandoned research outposts in rural places, and even offshore hospitals. More than once, the signature on the transactions was a variation of names Faison had previously used. Each breadcrumb gets Curtis closer to verifying what others fear. Caesar Faison may be the one pulling the strings, and nobody is safe. Drew Kane, who is still dealing with the trauma of memory manipulation, is all too aware of Faison's capabilities. The notion that someone may be recreating the same memory experiments hits near to heart. He's been keeping a careful eye on any patients in the hospital who exhibit symptoms of forced memory manipulation. So far, 3 inexplicable cases have been reported. Individuals who are confused about their past, talk in languages they never acquired, or recollect events from lives they never lived. These aren't accidents. These are indications of a trial run. Former WSB employees also feel a sense of fear. Quiet defections, encrypted warnings, and silent disappearances have become commonplace. People who once fought Faison are either going into hiding or being killed, and the higher-ups appear satisfied to let it happen, as if clearing the slate. That degree of collaboration reveals something considerably more nefarious than bureaucratic stupidity. Suggests fear or worse, devotion. The final hint could come from Spinelli, who recently decrypted a strongly encrypted SSD, discovered in a safe house abandoned by Dalton's team. Among the files was a video time-stamped and distorted, but with a voice that chilled Spinelli to the core. The cadence, the phrase, the uncanny sense of superiority, it all sounded like Faison. He played it for Jason in private. Neither of them spoke for a full minute. Because if that voice is genuine, Port Charles is already too late. The game has already begun. If Faison returns, it's not just about vengeance or ego, it's about progress. He is no longer aiming to demolish. Instead, he wants to redefine. To change the norms governing allegiance, identity, and even reality. And he has the resources, science, and reach to accomplish it. The question is whether anyone can stop him before he succeeds. Because if Caesar Faison is still alive, the battle is not only for Port Charles, but for the souls of all who reside there. Willow had kept her secret hidden for weeks, thinking the truth would never come out. The weight of it had grown overwhelming, and she was scared of what it would mean for people around her, particularly Isaiah. He was new to Port Charles, still figuring out his role and who he could trust. Willow had not intended to get close to him, but something about his calm demeanor and close listening drew her in. Over time, their informal discussions evolved into deeper emotional admissions, and Willow nearly told him everything one evening over tea at Kelly's. But she stopped herself. That inhibition was now disintegrating. Isaiah had detected a shift in her. He wasn't just intuitive. He'd seen this pattern before in others attempting to hide life-changing information. Her hands trembled as she clutched her cup, and she avoided making eye contact when he asked personal questions. And when she spoke of the past, of grief, of guilt, she always used ambiguous language, as if to protect someone. Or herself. But Willow hadn't been protecting anyone else. She was defending a decision she took that opposed everything she knew about honesty and commitment. A decision she thought would cast her in a negative light. Then on a rainy Tuesday morning at the hospital, the dam cracked. Isaiah had just completed reviewing his charts for the day when he noticed Willow sitting alone in the break room. Her eyes were hazy and red-rimmed, but her face remained determined. She did not look at him while she talked, instead focusing on the cold coffee in front of her. "I need to tell you something. And once I do, you might never look at me the same way again." These statements served as the storm's preface. Isaiah sat alongside her, speaking softly. "Whatever it is, I'd rather hear it from you than anyone else." She breathed deeply. "Before I met you and before my transplant, I made a decision that I never shared with anyone. Not Michael. Not Nina. Not even Sasha." Isaiah waited. "I was pregnant," she explained. "And I gave up the baby for adoption. Nobody knows. Even his adoptive family is unaware that I am his mother. It was a closed setup, so I walked out." The resulting silence was dense and unpleasant. Isaiah blinked, shocked. Not because of the decision itself, but because it explained so much, the shade beneath her smile, the reason she gripped other people's children for an extra second while saying goodbye. She hadn't lost one child, she had lost two. One sentenced to death, the other to secrecy. Isaiah eventually inquired, "Why now? Why tell me this?" Willow shrugged in defeat. "Because I'm tired of pretending it never happened. And because I trust you." Isaiah's remark surprised her. His eyes were filled with gentle melancholy rather than judgment. "I appreciate your trust in me. That must have been awful to bear. I believed I was doing the right thing. But I still think of him. I still wonder if he's okay." Isaiah leaned across the table and took her hand in his. "That part of you, the part that continues to wonder, is what makes you who you are. You made a choice and have lived with it. That needs strength." Willow felt tears well up in her eyes for the first time in a long time, but they were not tears of grief. They were from relief. However, as is typically the case in Port Charles, tranquility was temporary. Across town, Jason Morgan was fighting his own war against fate. Liesel Albrecht had planned a tranquil afternoon with her grandson, Rocco, in the hopes of creating one simple day of delight free of hospitals, drama, and the looming shadow of family secrets. She prepared a picnic and taken Rocco to the park, where they sat on a bench, exchanging apple slices and giggling over a squirrel who tried to steal their food. Jason had not intended to ruin the occasion. He didn't even realize Liesel and Rocco were present when he arrived. His presence was owing to a tip about a small-time smuggler who had been transporting suspicious parcels through the area. He had no intention of approaching anyone near the park. He only wanted to observe. But when he saw the man he had been tracking, everything changed. The suspect, a wiry man named Manny Knox, spotted Jason and bolted into the park, knocking over a garbage can and scattering pigeons everywhere. Jason pursued him instinctively, skirting between startled families and avoiding scared children. He hadn't realized Rocco was standing near the swing set until it was too late. Rocco, startled by the chase, slipped and landed hard. Liesl ran to him, embracing him in her arms and looking venomously at Jason. "Can't you wait 5 minutes?" she snapped. "You had to make this into one of your action movies in front of a child?" Jason crouched beside them, his face unreadable. "I did not see him. I apologize." "That is never good enough," she snarled. "You've always prioritized your missions over everyone else. And now you've scared him." Rocco, clutching his injured knee, stared up at Jason with wide eyes. "Why were you chasing that man?" Jason halted. Liesl intervened. "Because he was doing something wrong and I needed to stop him." "What about doing right by others around you? What about a tiny boy who assumed today would be peaceful?" Jason offered to take them to the clinic, but Liesl declined. She was enraged, not just today, but over years of witnessing Jason's hazardous world spill into everyone else's. She pulled Rocco close and walked away, her heels crunching on the gravel, leaving Jason standing in the center of the park, feeling like a ghost from another lifetime. Later that evening, Jason found himself outside Carly's house, yearning to communicate and bond with someone who could still understand his decisions. But Carly was not home. Instead, he discovered Michael. Jason hesitated, but Michael allowed him in. The two sat in silence for a while before Michael said, "What happened?" Jason described the encounter in the park, his words tinged with guilt. Michael did not provide easy forgiveness, but he did not condemn him either. "You have always attempted to do what you believed was right. However, doing the right thing does not always come without consequences. That's just life." Jason slumped back, tired. "I don't want to keep hurting others. Maybe it's time you started thinking about the type of life you want to have, and who you want to live it for." It wasn't really advice, but it was enough to plant the seed of reflection. Meanwhile, Willow arrived home from her shift with a heart that felt lighter than it had in months. But when she entered the house, she was greeted by silence. No Michael. There was no laughter from the children. Just silent. She discovered a message on the table. "We had to take the kids to the park. I thought you could need some time alone. Love, Michael." She smiled faintly before folding the paper and slipping it into her pocket. Her secret was revealed, at least to Isaiah. And while she didn't want to tell Michael, at least not yet, something had changed. She no longer concealed from herself. Later that week, fate would continue to upend the lives of individuals in Port Charles. Jason would surprise run into Liesl again at the hospital, where Rocco was being examined for a fever unrelated to his fall. The tension between them persisted, but Liesl's heart eased when she watched Jason bring Rocco a small toy, a memento from the same park where everything had gone wrong. Rocco's smile filled the gap, but only little. Willow found Isaiah's calm support to be an important part of her daily routine. They did not reveal the secret again, at least not immediately, but a link had been formed, one that would complicate matters, especially when Isaiah began to struggle with his own emotions. Because truthfully, Isaiah was more than simply a friend. He was falling for her. And now that her weakness was exposed, so was his heart. However, love in Port Charles comes at a cost. And secrets, no matter how carefully hidden, have a way of demanding to be exposed.